Ashe, Moat Hotep, brothers and sisters. This is Ray Witcher again coming to you um, with another video. And we're going to go over symbols and signs, Egyptian mythology and Christianity. Going to kind of breeze through this, excuse me, and pick my pace up a little bit because this video, I don't want to make it too long. Please remember that when I'm showing the video and the slides, when you're watching the video, hit the pause button and read what I'm putting there. All of what I'm putting there, I'm also attaching the reference links so that you can look it up and read it yourself. And one thing I want to go back over just a little bit, when I was in the part 2 of the foundation of racism, one of the things that we discussed in one of the slides was on the pineal gland. All right. Now, one of the things that I did not mention that is very important about the pineal gland is it is responsible for the secretion of melanin in the skin. I mentioned that in the video, but I didn't give you this important information. What melanin does and what it is to us is the melanin in our skin is like what leaves are to trees and plants. It absorbs the sunlight. Let me put my, let me put my timer up here so I know where we are in time. Okay, we're good. So the leaves on trees, its job is to absorb the sun through its leaves. The sun is absorbed through the leaf. It goes through a process of biosynthesis and converts the sun light into energy for our bodies. The darker the skin, the more sun can be absorbed. All right. So this myth that we always heard when I was coming up as a child, to hate or not like dark-skinned people. Dark-skinned people are the closest genetics of the first creation, okay? Because we are sun people. That's one thing that we cover up too much. Our body is made to absorb the sun. So make sure your body gets the sun. Also, walk around on the ground without shoes and socks. Ground your body. Let your body ground to the earth. All right, not going to spend a lot of time on that. I mentioned at the end of part 2 that I was not going to turn on the comments. I turned the comments on. There's another way that I can prevent people from messing this up. I just ask people to be respectful. Of course, you can express yourself. Of course, I'm expecting a lot of the things that I'm going to show you and tell you. They're gonna upset you. All right. You're gonna have some feelings and emotions, but we all have those. All right. Our feelings and our emotions are not evidence. All right. I'm producing evidence. That doesn't mean it's proof to you, but it is evidence. Okay. So let's control that. I want to ask a question because my approach is a comprehensive approach. All right. Churches don't pay any taxes. They're tax-free. They're tax exempt. Why? Okay, the government doesn't give away anything for free. What is the government getting out of this? Okay, they're getting something, and I'm gonna show you what it is. All right. Well, I've already started to show you what it is. The foundations of racism are the foundations of the church. Look up, excuse me, the founding fathers of all of the Christian religions, Baptists, especially the Baptists, especially the Southern Baptists, and read the founding fathers, what do you call it? Founding fathers documents of the faith. It all talks about racism. All right, look up the slave Bible. Why did they need a slave Bible? They needed a slave Bible because it taught slaves not to even pray or seek freedom, and that was a sin. Okay, so all of this that I'm doing is the foundation for where we are right now today. Okay, so I'm looking at it comprehensively, and I'm showing you it's okay to look at it. It's actually foolish not to look at it comprehensively, because God gave us common sense to use common sense to make sense. Okay, all right. So the church, and it's in the eugenics programs that the United States government had, it said that we will have the black pastors control the black communities, and that they will strictly control the black pastors. Okay, so that's what the government is getting out of it. All right. So we're right at the holiday season. Okay, Thanksgiving, today is Tuesday. Thanksgiving is 2 days. All right. We follow a lot of customs and traditions that we know nothing about. Okay. Black people, people of color, we need to understand, what are we celebrating? What do we have so much to be happy about? Thanksgiving was the celebration of the massacre of the indigenous people, black people in America. And every time they would massacre a tribe or a village, they would have a Thanksgiving. After each time that they would kill us, they would celebrate it until, I forgot which year and which president said, we're going to make this a national holiday and an annual celebration. Rather than celebrating every time we kill them, we'll do it once a year. Okay, so I really don't celebrate Thanksgiving. I definitely don't celebrate Christmas. I definitely don't celebrate Easter, and we'll go down through that in this presentation. All right. So we need to recognize the signs and symbols that we see in the church, and where did it come from? What does it mean? What is it associated with? All right, and that's what we're going to take a look at. All right. In this channel, and really it should be in every church, synagogue, mosque, everywhere, it should be required to think. It should be required to ask questions. But we're taught, don't ask questions. Don't worry about that. Only people tell somebody that are people that have something to hide. Okay? My job was never to not think or ask questions. I worked in quality assurance for 27 years. My job was to think, and to ask questions. That's your responsibility too. You see, it may not be my fault or your fault for where you are in life right now. Your situation, your problem, what is causing you to set back or stay back or not be able to move forward. You may not be the cause of it, but it is your responsibility. It is my responsibility to do something about it. We can't pray our way out of that. We have to work our way out of that through prayer, with prayer. Okay, but praying isn't enough. Okay, and remember, when you have people telling you, I'm praying for you, don't forget to ask them to spell it. Spell it. Is it P-R-A-Y-I-N-G for me, or is it P-R-E-Y-I-N-G for me? All right. Okay, so we want to think. We want to ask questions. All right. I'll give you an example of what we lost, what the Africans still have. Okay. I saw, I don't know if it was a special program or something, and this European lady, a white lady, she was there, and it was a bunch of little boys, maybe 7 to 9 to 10. No, they weren't 10. I would say 6 to 9. And she said, why don't you race? Why don't you guys have a race and I'm going to give the winner a prize? So the little boys, they raced. The little boy that won the race, she gave him a candy bar. Okay. And she says, here, this is yours. It's all yours. You can eat this all yourself. The little boy took it. He looked at the candy bar. He looked at his friends. He looked at his other friends, and he looked at the candy bar. And you could see this process going through this little boy's mind. What do I do with this? So he took a bite and gave it to his friend. His friend took a bite and gave it to his friend. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Because he had no mentality of this is mine. That's a European thing. That is not an African thing. That is not our thing. Okay? And in order for a tribe, if one person is hungry, everybody's hungry. I said, in a previous presentation that nobody in the villages go hungry. Because when one eats, everybody eats. We lost that. That was taken away from us. Okay? We're about self, only self. Mine, me, not we. It was us. It's a big difference in that mentality. Okay? So, we want to think like that little boy. He didn't know what to do with a candy bar. He won the race. He could have sat there and ate that candy bar in front of all of his friends. But he did not have that type of mentality. I'm going to do something that Dr. Ray Hagins does. And if this is not about giving up church, this is about finding the right church to lead you. And look up African Village, Dr. Ray Hagins. All right. Join his African Village. He's on every Sunday. Matter of fact, if you go to his website, the African Village, you can listen to his sermons 24 hours a day. I would encourage you to go on YouTube and pull up Dr. Ray Hagins and subscribe to his channel. This is one bad man. I'm not going to spend too much time on him, but go to him. Okay. So if you're looking somewhere that you can still say, I go to church, I worship Dr. Ray Hagins. Mention this to you. God says, I do not dwell in temples made by hands. I do not dwell in temples made by hands. So, where's this church? The Bible says you're supposed to build on this rock. You are that rock. See, people believe God wants me to go to church. God doesn't want you to go to church. He wants you to take church with you everywhere you go. The only way you can do that is if you build a church in between the two temples God gave you, behind the two eyes and between the two ears. This is your church. Let people see that you are the church when they see you, when they talk to you. See, people know I'm a church when they see me because I'm usually talking like I'm talking now. All right. So, let's see. Just show the church. Okay, so let's get into the presentation. All right, so that's what we're going to do, and that's what we're looking at. We're going to the next slide. Signs and symbols. Why is Jesus Christ and Baphomet holding the same symbol? Now, you'll see pictures of Jesus holding his hands like this. You'll see pictures of the Pope holding his hands like this. These are signs and symbols. Okay? Now, here's who Baphomet was. I'm going to let you read that. I'm not going to spend time on it because I don't want this video to be too long. I don't want to turn people off because, hey, he makes his videos too long. That's the information there that I want you to look at. Now, in case you don't know, Baphomet is both male and female. And a lot of stuff. Okay? So just look it up. I'm just introducing you to the signs and symbols that we see in church that are related to Christianity, that are also related to satanic worship. Okay? Now, I'm convinced, beyond a reasonable doubt, if I were in court, I say, yep, I vote, guilty, okay? The only way that Christianity could have the grip on Black people, white people, Latinos, everybody that it has, is if there's a spell. And I showed you in, I think it was Foundation of Racism Part 2. No, it's Part 1, where gospel was originally spelled Gospell. It is spelled casting. Was then, still is now. All right. On the left, we have the African Ark. On the right, we have the Christian symbol of the church. And what we know is that the Emperor Constantine, the great, played a major role in the introduction of the cross to Christianity. He had a vision of the cross. He was getting ready to go into a battle, and he said that when he looked in the sky, that God had put a cross in the sky by the clouds as a symbol to use going into battle. He went into battle. He won the battle. And when he came out, he made that the symbol of the Roman Empire, the cross. He made all of his soldiers put the cross on their shields. Then he made it the symbol of the church. Okay? That's where that symbol came from. That symbol has nothing to do with anything other than torture, murder, death. Doesn't have anything to do with life. Right? This is the original Egyptian story, mythology of the lake of fire. Okay? This is the lake of fire here. And the lake of fire is guarded on all four sides by baboons. Okay? And when you had to stand before the scales of judgment, if your heart did not weigh less than a feather, you were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake, not a fire, it was boiling water. Okay? These baboons will keep you from getting out. If your spirit tried to get out, they'd throw you back in. But this was not an eternal damnation. You went there for a period of time and then you got out. So the Europeans, when they learned this story, they took it and made their story of hell and said that it is a real place. This is where you're going to go when you die. Okay? They took a mythical story and turned it into what they say and what around the world saying. This is historical. Okay, and it's not. All right? Okay. Signs and symbols. Under the Jewish were yarmulkes, and the Catholic they weren't the same thing. Why? Okay? Did you know that Catholics and Christians worship the opposite way? And it's really childish when you look at it and you think about it, okay? The Jews and the Christians do things backwards. The Christians go to church on Sunday. The Jews go to the synagogue Saturday night. Okay, the Christians go to church around 11 o'clock Sunday. The Jews go to synagogue, I think it's like 8 o'clock at night. say the Christians get drunk after church. Okay? So the Jews get drunk before church. They have open bar. Some of them get so drunk they have to drag them up in there, going to worship God in His kingdom. Okay? Let me tell you something about the Abrahamic faiths. The Jewish, the Muslim, and the Christians, they all follow the faith-based belief system of Abraham and his descendants. I want you to go to Galatians chapter 4 and read verses 22 through 24. Then I want you to ask your pastor or your minister or your rabbi, who is the allegory that these two verses are talking about? Now, allegory is a made-up story for political reasons. Okay? And verse 22 starts off with Abraham, his wife Sarah, the bondsmaid, and their sons. So now, that's the allegory. They made it all up about Abraham. He never existed. Just right there in the Bible. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. What better way to get people to support you or to fear than to write a book that says, if you go against us, you go against God, because we are His chosen people. They gave us the right, the sole right to this promised land, to kill everybody that doesn't look like us or make you my slave. That's what the Islamic faith does, the Christians do, and the Jews, all based on that. Abraham. All right. So let's get to here. All right. This on the left, you see this hat? You see this right here? That's the eye of a fish. That's a fish eye. You see here? This is the fish god. Dagon. Dagon the fish god. He used to be the sign of the church. Over here, you see it? Dagon. All right. So these popes wear this hat as a symbol of the idol worship of the fish god. Now remember from the Foundation of Racism Part 2, I showed you the pine cone, how the priests carry, and there it is, look in his hand. Look right here, you see it? See right here? That's a pine cone. That's Jesus hanging on the cross under a pine cone. And you remember what the pine cone is? It's the same as the third eye. It is related to spirituality. You know, it's African mythology. It was taken away from African mythology. All of this are symbols in the church. You see them all the time. But we don't know what it is. We celebrate Christmas. We don't know what it is. We celebrate Thanksgiving. We don't know what it is. We celebrate Easter with our Easter bunny and chocolate candy, and don't know what the Easter bunny represents, and don't know what the chocolate candy represents. Well, I'm going to show you in this video. Okay? It all has to do with sex. S-E-X. Okay? So read this, pause the video, read the things. All right? Because I'm just skimming through it. But I provided information here, and I usually put the links where you can pull this stuff up and see it for yourself. All right? All right. On the right here, this is the African hieroglyphics. You see all of these symbols in here? The rabbit, you have a man. Over here, you have a bird. Over here, I think you have utensils like silverware. And you see, some of these are in boxes. You see how this is written in boxes? So this is telling you how to read it, or the method of reading, okay? You see the gods You see the lady bowing down to the God? Okay, now over here is a hieroglyphics conversion chart where it tells you that this bird means a, and it's a vulture. This L here is a B, and it means your leg. This symbol here is a C, and it means cup. This is a symbol, means D, and it is your hand. So we can read these hieroglyphics. So I put this here for those that really want to study, you want to learn what our ancestors left. Once you can read this, you're going to be reading the Bible. You're going to be reading the Quran. You're going to be reading the Torah. All of it comes from here. All of it is our story. All right. Now, I'm going to follow a belief system or have a recipe of what to make me a better person. Give me this. Okay? Give me what my ancestors left that they stole, hijacked, embellished, altered, and gave back to us to control us with our own story. Okay? So we gotta get away from this. It was, well, if it was good enough for my mom and my daddy, and my grandma and my grandpa was good enough for me, it was not good enough for them. They just had not been exposed to the truth. And their parents and grandparents taught them the lie. Okay? You do not have to give up everything that you were taught, because everything that you were taught is not wrong. Okay? It was just giving the Europeans authority over us. You don't need that. And now let me tell you something. Fear. Fear is the most controlling thing in every religion. Do you know what fear is? Fear is, how can I say this? Fear is false evidence avoiding reality. F-E-A-R, fear. False evidence avoiding reality. See, when you give someone fear, if I were to tell you that this is if you drink it, it's gonna burn your throat. It's gonna burn you all the way through your throat, your stomach, your intestines, all the way out your pooper shooter. If I were to tell you that, and you believed it, you would never drink an Arizona iced tea. Then one day you see your friend with an Arizona iced tea. And man, he's over there drinking, and you run over and say, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing, man?" He said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "That tea will burn you all the way down." He says, "Man, I've been drinking this tea for the last 20 years. What are you talking about?" Until you find out that you've been afraid of something that you should not have been afraid of, and it was that fear that controlled you into the belief system, the faith-based belief system, you don't stand a chance. All right? So that's what we're trying to do. All right? So let's learn how to read this. I have attached the link. And this is just one hieroglyphics conversion charts. They have a lot of them, okay? And I'm learning how to read these things, man, and it's beautiful. I mean, if my ancestors loved me enough to carve that in stone, first of all, can you imagine how long it took? If they loved me enough to leave me this carved in stone, I should love them enough and respect them enough to learn how to read it. Now, I'm just not talking to black people. I'm talking to all people, not just all people of color. I'm talking to white people, everybody, because we're all one. They separated white people from black people just like they separate black people from black people and black people from Latinos and Latinos from Africans. Enough. I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm done. Okay? So that's what this is. I'm showing you where they stole our story. The Lamb of God. All right? On the left is the Egyptian Lamb of God. The same story. That's where they got the mindfulness, or it's not insight because they stole it. There it is, you're looking at it. Same picture. Matter of fact, in Europe, I don't know if it's England or London, in one of the British museums, they actually have the original statue of an African man holding the lamb just like that. They actually have the statue in one of the British museums that they stole when they looted Africa. Signs and symbols that we see in the church that we don't even relate back to our story. Is our story. It always has to be them. Okay? But they don't have any receipts. The picture on the left is a receipt. It's our receipt. They can't take it. All right? Look. All right? You see this? Isn't that this? Isn't that this? They stole it. Look here. Isn't that this? Now, this is only evidence, right? I can't tell you, well, I can tell you this is my proof. I can't tell it, I can't make this be your proof. I'm only showing you evidence, okay? That they stole our African mythology, embellished it, hijacked it, created their version of it, what Hellenized it. And see, Hellenization, we went over that in Foundation of Racism Part 1. Hellenization is when you come in and you remove the natives' VIPs and impose European VIPs, okay? You change all of the images of everything good to white and all of the images of everything bad to black. So they Hellenized heaven, angels, priests, prophets, all of them became white people. You don't see you might see a few coming around now, but in America, man, they never let us see any kind of a white angel or white pope or, no. That's Hellenization. That's part of the colonial system. Okay? That's why we need to get away from that. That's why, listen, lose that fear. I'm telling you, they lied. I'm showing you, they stole. What do you expect a liar to do? Lie. What do you expect a thief to do? Steal. It's not out of their nature. Okay, and it's all about nature. I showed you in the Willie Lynch letter of How to Make a Slave in Foundation of Racism Part 1 that Willie Lynch said, you have to break the natural nature of the nigger males. Like you break the nature of a horse, okay? So if they're gonna break our nature, what are they breaking it to? They're breaking it to their nature, okay? They're breaking it to their nature. They want to convert us into thinking like them, being like them. And that's what our problem is. And that's why we can't get out of it. We don't think like black people. Okay? We think in the European. See, we're Afropeans, not Africans or African Americans. Don't let them trick you. Don't let them fool you. All right? We're going to go to the next one. So I'm just showing you. They stole this from Egypt. You can see they stole it from Egypt. Interesting picture. This is actually, now this is a little bit off of the signs and symbols because you might not see this sign and symbol in the church. But this is actually the stairway to heaven, the story in the Bible of the stairway to heaven, this, that, and the other. And you can see the people here walking up the stairway to heaven to God sitting on the throne. And what's that in his hand? Isn't that this in his hand? Right here. You see it? That's carved in stone, brothers and sisters. Our ancestors, you know, they left us the receipts. We have receipts. Receipts. Okay? Now, right here, this is after they've come up the stairway to heaven and gone into heaven. Okay? You remember in Foundation of Racism, Part 2, when I mentioned to you that if we take everything that they gave us and turned it around 180 degrees so that it's facing the other direction, we'll be looking at the truth. Okay? Well, you remember I said one of the lies they told us is that black cats are bad luck. And people were afraid. If they saw a black cat across the street, they would not step over the path of that black cat because of fear, which is false evidence avoiding reality. Fear, false evidence avoiding reality. Okay. When you look up what is the Egyptian mythology of the black cat, is the most sacred thing that was on the land. Everybody wanted a black cat because they protected the home. So you can see how much the Egyptians loved the black cat because they made statues of black cats. They have statues and engravings, carvings in the Egyptians' wall by our ancestors. Look at this. Don't let somebody tell you that this is evil when it's the evil ones telling you that our stuff is evil. It's nothing evil about us. Whoa. You ever seen a Muslim nun? There she is. Have you ever noticed this? Signs and symbols. There are two differences that you see in these two pictures. One, the Muslim, she has a covering over her nose and her mouth. The other difference is the nun has a cross on. That's it. And you remember I mentioned to you back in Foundation of Racism 2 that the Catholic Church started Islam because they sent in an ex-nun and she married Muhammad. And Muhammad's ex-nun wife designed the Muslim women's wear. You gotta know where your stuff comes from. You know, we were all put in chains and bondage. Okay? We're not in chains now, but we are in bondage. This is the bondage. This is what they have bondage on. This is what they have chains on. And it's through religion. It's through religion. Because religion is the antivirus that when somebody comes around like me telling you this, if you're running Norton antivirus on your computer, you'll get a pop-up and says, threat quarantined. The threat. We've taken it and we've quarantined it so that it doesn't contaminate everybody else. That's what religion is. It's an antivirus to keep the programs of the Europeans and the other governments running. See it? Now pause this and read this. This is for you to read. I'm not gonna read this. I put this in for you to read it. I'm just gonna introduce you to it. After you read it, do your own study. The pagan traditions of Christmas. Okay? I'm not gonna read this, okay? Christmas is, let me tell you about all of these holidays. The United States government would collapse if people didn't go out and spend all of their money on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. Okay? They would shut down. They would fall. Now, who is the biggest consumer in this country and doing these holiday festivities? Black people. And we're not spending any of our money with Black people. Okay? That's why we got to stop marching and protesting, all of these things. We just got to stop buying. That we can buy from Black people. And we can buy from Latinos. Why I see more Latinos? I just don't see no Black stores. Why? Social engineering. We went over that in Fundamentals of Racism Parts 1 and 2. Okay? So, Easter is associated with, it doesn't have anything to do with the death of Jesus Christ. Christmas has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus Christ. Christmas has to do with the winter solstice, and Easter has to do with the, I think it's the equinox. Okay? It has to do with the sun, not the S-U-N, not the S-O-N. Okay? So we got to get these things and understand, man. They have us believing that this is about God, and it's not. It's pagan worship. It's about sun worship, sun goddess. Easter comes from the celebration of the goddess of fertility named Estore, E-S-T-O-R-E. It might be on the previous slide. Yeah, it's up here somewhere. All right. And during this celebration of the spring coming, see, because Easter is really a celebration of the new year. We've been tricked to believe that the new year is January. Well, nothing is new in January. Everything's dead. The new year is when the spring and the trees start to bud. The animals breed and mate. That's why Easter doesn't come on the same day every day. So you want me to believe that Jesus died on the cross on one specific day. He died this day. But every year, Easter is celebrated on a different Sunday. Why? Because the equinox happens on a different day every year. Easter is determined. It comes the Sunday after the equinox. And that has to do with the sun. That's why you need to study and understand astrology, numerology, astrotheology. All of these things go together. And until we do, we're in trouble. All right. We're getting on down through here. All right. I think we're just about at the end. We did pretty good. Only at 42 minutes. All right, good. All right. This is very important, right? Back in the Foundation of Racism 2, when I showed you the wheel chart for astrology, and I showed you that the sign for Aries is a man carrying bearing a jug of water and pouring water out of a jug. It shows him pouring the water. Okay? The age of Pisces, I showed you on the wheel chart, the symbol is two fishes. We're talking about signs and symbols in the Christian faith, all right? The sign for Pisces are the two fish, okay? Now, if you go back to the time of Moses, during the age of Taurus, the bull was the sign. No, you go back to Aries. Yeah, you go back to Taurus, go back to Moses, the time of age of Taurus, the symbol was the bull. But if you go back to before Moses, the sign of Aries is the ram, the male sheep. The female is the ewe, E-W-E. And the baby sheep is called the lamb. The lamb. You see the lamb? That's where the lamb came from in Christianity. It came from the lamb out of Aries. Okay. So the age of Pisces is the age of the teachings of who? Jesus Christ. Right? And the age of Pisces is defined as the age of deception. You've been tricked. Go to I think it's 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 16. And the great apostle Paul says, being the crafty man that I am, I caught you with trickery. That's how I got you. I caught you by lying to you, and tricking you, strutting about. All right, we're at 46 minutes. I don't want to make this any longer. Let's see if there's anything else I need to go over. I hope this information is good to you. It takes time. I can't make these videos too short, but I can't make them too long. All right. If they turn the comments on, I can do it any way you want to do it. Give me some feedback. Okay, what I'm showing you, this information, most of the people that I really teaching this, they don't teach the people over 50. It's too shocking. It's too much. It's too much for them. On the average, it's too much to know or to even consider that everything I believed all of my life is a lie. Everything that you have believed all your life isn't a lie. The context in which it was taught to you and most of what you believe is a lie. It still has value to it, but you can't wait for somebody else to come do your work. We, each of us, if we were taught right, we would know that everything that Jesus Christ is supposed to be coming back to do, we're supposed to be doing it. We're not supposed to be waiting for a Savior to come do it. That's what's messed up. Everything else, it's good teaching. I mean, it has a good value system. But when you start teaching people that this actually happened, it messes it up. Let me give you a couple things and I'm gonna go. On Noah's Ark, they had 2 of every clean, 7 of every unclean. Okay, let's say elephants are unclean. So it's 3 species of elephants. So that's 14 elephants, I think. Elephants need to drink 30 to 55 gallons of water every day. Who watered all of these animals? Who fed them? There's only 8 people on that boat, 4 men and 4 women. You think they could do that? Who shoveled all of the dung out of those stalls every day? They were on that boat 374 days. Just giving you something to think about. I'm going to do a full presentation on these things right now. We're coming up out of the foundation of this hole that racism was built on. You can't even see the house yet. We're still in the foundation, but we're coming up, and we're going to be coming up out of this hole. Well, we're going to be building. I'm going to show you the whole thing. So when we get to this, I'm going to be doing full presentations, biblical presentations. But before I can do a biblical presentation, I have to do the foundation. I have to show the foundation work, what it's built on. And that way, when I start showing you the things I'm going to show you that you don't like, that people aren't going to like, I can refer you back to a video. And I don't have to keep explaining to everybody the same thing. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this, first of all, for your benefit, second for mine. All right. All of the youth out there, keep your heads up. Tomorrow's a new day, and take advantage of it. Ashe.